Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Citizens of Lorcana podcast. I'm your host, Jared Hymas, and today we have some news. The Lorcana socials are alive, and joining me today to discuss it is Sugi from the Lorcana cast.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Not much. It's good to finally talk to you. We've chatted in the DMs a few times about chatting together, but we're actually making it happen.
I know it's really exciting. It only took 70 days for somewhat significant-ish news post to come out, and we can go, hey, let's have a chat.
You know, I was thinking about that today. I was thinking about making a Thanksgiving post. And one of the things I was thinking about was how grateful I am that I'm meeting all these people that I would never have met otherwise. I mean, I could have
Yeah,
lived 100 lives during this time period, and I probably never would have met you or anybody else in the Discord. And I think it's really awesome, this community that's grown.
that's kind of what's fun about trading card games and games in general. You get the opportunity to meet people you never would have met. You get to go on adventures, make memories. We're all expecting the biggest announcement, possibly reveal or demo games to be at Gen Con, which means a lot of us are going to be there. And that means memories and fun and stories and videos and all kinds of just cool things that, if Lorcana hadn't been there this year, 2023's Gen Con, I wouldn't have gone.
Yeah, same. Well, it's a cool journey, but today we have some exciting news because I've been keeping my eyes, as have you, but I've been keeping my eyes on the Lorcana socials, and today they finally posted. They came alive.
I sent a meme to one of my friends. It was that Mushu meme where he's like, "I live."
It's
It's like
so true.
they're back, everybody.
I mean, the content wasn't a lot. I mean, I'm looking at the tweet right now. It says in Disney Lorcana, Lumineers use magic inks to summon Disney characters as glimmers. So nothing new or groundbreaking, but the fact that they actually posted to me suggests they're laying the groundwork for the upcoming promotional period.
I think they hired that community manager. That's a good sign.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. What's interesting is on the surface, a lot of people are like, "Well, this isn't news. This isn't important. This isn't anything." And like mechanically, you're not wrong. Like we knew about the inks. Did we know about glimmers? Had they mentioned that before? I think that's a new keyword.
No, they've mentioned glimmers before. It was in their opening trailer, even.
Okay. So the terminology used is not necessarily new. However, from a PR marketing business standpoint, this is huge. This means that someone somewhere got the green light to start doing some marketing. And generally, once they start that slow burn, this is a part of a long process. So it's either going to be part of like a multi-month process or like small batches. So generally when you're doing like PR ad marketing, you have either, your month batched out where, okay, on this date at this time, we're going to do this post, and then so on and so forth. You follow this game plan. You have a framework, a skeletal system, whatever you want to call it. So I do understand like, oh, hey, they posted this thing and it's not news. Well, on the back end, it's definitely huge because now we know someone's alive, someone's posting, they've got approval to post, which means more is on the way. Now, I'm going to guess there's probably not too much more for the end of the year, but once we get into 2023, probably January or February, I do anticipate they're going to hit the go button on their marketing blitz, and we're going to get slapped with frequent amounts of content. But the point I'm trying to make is, although it's not what we necessarily wanted, it's a good sign that they're getting their ducks in a row for the bigger, longer term marketing plan.
No, I 100% agree with that. The news is the fact that they actually posted. And for you and for me, like that's a big deal. Um, I don't know if you followed the Ravensburger North America account, but they have posted a couple videos where it's like the day in the life of a social media manager. And you're
Yeah,
absolutely right. They have their calendar planned out. And I anticipate, just like you said, that this is just the beginning of the marketing push. And I agree with you. Like they've set up that expectation that we won't get much more until 2023. So I'm not expecting a lot, but I am just so happy that they're alive.
Yeah, so like what you were talking about, a lot of people may or may not realize that marketing plans are planned, ironically, months, if not years in advance. So the Lorcana scheduling for the next marketing blitz is probably months in advance. And I know that they were hiring a community manager, but that doesn't mean that the plans weren't already kind of determined. They just needed someone to manage it, if that makes sense. So this is again really really exciting news, even though the information given to us isn't necessarily groundbreaking. It still showcases that Ravensburger easily could have let us wait until the end of the year and then said, "Hey, Lorcana news is coming in 2023. We'll see you next year." And they didn't, thank God. And so now there's hope, there's potentiality, but similar to Twitter, um, it's getting people to talk. And I know that might sound kind of asinine to say, well, we were talking about it anyways. Well, the point I'm trying to make is before this post, people were kind of quiet. People were just waiting. People were in the wings. There wasn't much discussion. And, similar to Twitter, where it was kind of quiet, and all of a sudden, Elon Musk shows up and everyone's talking about Twitter, positive or negative. There's that classic phrase, there's no such thing as bad PR. And Twitter is just getting blasted with good, bad, ugly. But the thing is, as a PR marketing person, you just want people to talk about your brand. You want people to talk, 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 because that gives you exposure, that brings people to your platform, that gets momentum, that gets movement, that gets clicks, which sells ads and makes money, and so on and so forth. So, although, again, going back to the Lorcana post, it's not necessarily what we want. We want rules, we want more cards, we want explanation, understanding of the game. It'll come, but they're having people talk about the game, because someone was talking about this in the Discord. Hey, there's all these new people I've never seen before posting on Twitter. Yeah, that's why they did it. They specifically wanted to spark and ignite excitement and bring people back into the ecosystem to remind them, hey, we're here, we exist. And they're going to kind of spark that flame and kind of poke at it to get people to get really excited and riled up again. Even though we're all, like, well, that's not news. That's okay, because we're talking about it again and we're watching the social media again, and they're pulling us back in. It's really exciting.
That person was me that made that comment, because Twitter's kind of where I've made my, like, that's where I planted my flag in the ground, and so I see like pretty much everything that goes on with Lorcana and Twitter, and it was just so nice to see new faces. It gets me genuinely excited.
And that's good. That's healthy for the community. That's healthy for the game. Again, it's really interesting how Ravensburger is being very strategic about their choices. And on my end, as someone who works in the industry, it's very impressive. Although I do admit it's annoying that they're not giving us the slow drip we want. They're definitely being very meticulous and very strategic and very targeted at what they're doing, when they're doing it, and why they're doing it. So for me, that says that they put thought into the marketing plan. This isn't just going to be random Joey Smith, who is I'm sorry if your name is Joey Smith if you're listening, but you're just someone sitting around at the office and you're bored and you're like, I'm going to type up an article about Lorcana. Lorcana's coming soon. Love you. I'll see you in at D23 next year. Bloop. That's not a helpful marketing plan. Unfortunately, there's some companies and some people in marketing that think that's a valid way to stoke social media and excite people and get your audience prepared. That is not. Don't do that. But seeing that D23 was specific, this post was specific, they do have some interactivity within the community. We've seen some of the designers and developers and people associated with the Lorcana project talk to YouTubers and people on Twitter. They don't say anything, but they do say
Mhm.
enough, and that's what's important.
Agreed. Just the fact that they're present, even if they're not, like, I respect the fact that they haven't said anything, because that would be dang hard if I was the one that had that information and I had to keep it secret. but just the fact that they're not even necessarily representing the company, but the fact that they're excited about the game like we are makes me excited that there are people who care about this game as much as we're going to care about it.
Right. I'm pretty confident a big chunk of the designers and developers are big game nerds just like us. They're really excited, they're really passionate, they're really on fire, but because, they're afraid of Disney's lawyers, which they rightfully should be, and have signed a non-disclosure agreement, they can't say anything because they don't want to lose half of their family to Mickey Mouse. Ha! So, it's fine. I understand. And the fact that they're so excited really gets me excited because if a game is that cool that they can't talk about it and they really want to talk about it, it's probably a really good game. I've seen a lot of games come out or people are like in development and they're talking about it, like, are you excited about the game? Like, yeah, I'm pretty excited, man. Can you tell us anything? No, I don't really want to get in trouble, man, but it's really exciting. I don't necessarily always think it's as exciting as projected, but when you see these interviews from D23 and you can tell Ryan Miller is like, if I wasn't going to get sued into the dirt for the next 70 years, I would absolutely say something. So that's another good sign for the game. Everyone's really, really on fire and they want to tell us, but they can't. And I'm fine. I can handle, 12 months. What's 12 months out of, your entire lifespan? Not that bad. It's okay.
Right. Agreed. Might even be down to 10 months if we're looking at August, if I did my math right.
Right. And the other thing is there's other things in everyone's lives. We've all got, family, friends, loved ones, video games, board games, card games. There's enough theme parks. There's enough going on the next 12 months that I think we can distract ourselves so that it's not just sitting at home all alone for the next 12 months, hitting the refresh button. When?
Are you? I'm feeling attacked here. That's been the story of my life the last 2 months.
Oh,
Just
no.
teasing.
Oh, well, you should go to a theme park because there's some fun stuff that's been going on in the Disney company. I'm so happy. So happy.
Yeah, tell us about that. There's some pretty big news.
So Disney just announced that they have asked Bob Chapek to leave the company, to step down, and Bob Iger is going to resume his place as the CEO. We asked on Twitter if people thought this would have any impact on licensing, and everyone pretty much said what I expected. Probably not. Iger is very well known as a great acquisitionist. He's all about picking up big companies like Marvel and Fox, Star Wars, with such strength in his ability to command great deals and lead the company. Now, like by no means is he perfect, but I'd rather have Iger than Chapek. That's just me. So I'm really excited because Iger was really really I think a theme park kind of guy. And when I was hired by Disney, he was actually in control of the company at the CEO, and everyone loved him. I mean, all the cast members really enjoyed Iger as the CEO, and I did too. So seeing him come back is really nice. I'm hopeful that he'll have enough ability to make an impact because he's only projected to stay with the company for 2 years until they actually find a successor that they like that isn't going to tank out the stock prices. So we've also seen him kind of extend his term, so to speak, with the company. There's multiple times in the past where he said, "Hey, I'm retiring, I'm quitting." And then he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to stick around for like 5 more years, but then I'm really retiring." And then he goes and goes, "Well, I'll stick around for like 2 more years. They really need some help." So the 2 year length may or may not legitimately be actually 2 years. We'll have to wait and see. But if he's the interim CEO until the next person they select, I'm totally fine with it. He knows what he's doing. He's very successful, and I have really high hopes. I know this is adjacent to Lorcana, but the health of the Disney company does affect their IP licensing and their games because if the company's in the tank, they'll just pull things that aren't making money or things that aren't efficient. And I mean, Lorcana is clearly a red target for them because if they're trying to cut costs, it's really easy for them to go, "Hey, just put it on the back burner. We're not making any money. We're actually dumping money in, like our time and effort. We'll let it just hold off." So I think Chapek being replaced by Iger um, really secures Lorcana to not only come out but to survive because I had a legitimate concern like Lorcana comes out like alternate planet dimension 63000. Lorcana comes out, does pretty okay. they look at the numbers on the sales end and go, nah, I don't know. We've got a game out, whatever. Leave it be. Just end it all. We'll do something else. Because Chapek is very frugal and very, very much focused on numbers and where he can make cuts, as we saw when he made the announcement that they're going to be cutting back cast members. So if they're looking at everything across the board and trying to make money, then obviously games are in that basket. And now that Chapek is moving out, I'm hopeful that Iger will help stabilize things and they won't be looking to cut costs across the board, but they'll find ways to grow their revenue stream. And that means Lorcana is very, very, very much safer than it was prior.
Yeah, I agree 100% there. I mean, as I didn't work for Disney, I just have been a fan of Disney forever. And looking at it from the outside, Iger, I mean, those almost seem like golden years for me. Everything he touched turned to gold, whether it was the Star Wars or Marvel or the theme parks. It's just like Disney as a company works so smoothly. And I don't know, like Chapek came in at a difficult time during COVID, and then at a time when our country has become so divided. Um, I just hope that that goodwill that Iger established during his first term as CEO carries over into here. But I agree with you. I feel safer about Lorcana as a game in Iger's hands than in Chapek's hands, for sure.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It's very unfortunate that Chapek he was dealt a really, really bad hand. Like, he got the poop end of the stick, if we're like really honest, like just mechanically, business wise, socially, economically. But still, he did a bunch of things I was really not super in love with, and it's like,
Hmm.
ugh, I know, I respect that he stood his ground and he did what he did, but at the same point, it was like, man, that was a little rough on my part.
Genie
Um,
Plus.
but yeah,
Genie Plus is where I gave up on him.
I'm so betwixt and between Genie. We'll have to have another episode about Genie Plus because, like, I've used it and I love it, but at the same point, I also went to the parks by myself, and I've been to both theme parks multitudes of times. I know those parks like the back of my hand. Like, you could blindfold me and I would know exactly where I'm going. So knowing the ecosystem of the parks and how time is the resource and commodity you're spending, not money. I think it's an unfair game for those who are experienced versus someone who just showed up for their first time. It's like, I've never been to Disneyland before. I'm going to run circles around you. I'm going to ride every single ride I want twice before you get on two major attractions. So it's a weird economic. It's a board game, really, if you look at theme parks. But we're rabbit trailing horrendously.
Yeah, we are. Well, those are the
um,
two major things we wanted to talk about today. So I do appreciate you coming on and I appreciate your input.
Yes, thank you for having me. We're absolutely going to have you come on Lorcana Cast in the future. We're probably looking at January or February of next year. I know it sounds crazy to people listening, like, why so long? We do 2 podcasts a month, and we're kind of booked out in the end of the year just because of holiday season. So now we're looking into January, February, and March. So um, we definitely have plans on having you come on. We're gonna kick around some ideas and just have a really good show. But thank you again for letting me come on. It was a blast. I am really genuinely excited about the posts on both Instagram and Twitter. I have high hopes that this is a sign that we're going to start seeing more interactivity between the Lorcana team and our audience of listeners and players and content creators.
Yeah, absolutely. I am excited for that hype train to start. And I guess just in closing, if people want to find you, where can they find you?
Okay, so my name is Sugi. I'm one of the hosts of a podcast called The Lorcana Cast. You can find us on Twitter, on Facebook, YouTube, and then all the other social media platforms. So Google, Spotify, Apple, Pocket Casts, whatever your favorite app you're listening to is, we should be on there. And you just type in Lorcana Cast and have a lot of fun. It's for people who have been playing trading card games for years. We've probably got 60 or 70 years of experience combined with all of us. And we just kind of sit down and talk in a very organic fashion, like if you were hanging out at your local game store talking about, Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, or in this case Lorcana. And it's just really inviting because everyone can sit down and listen. And then if you have input, if you have a comment, something you want to kick in, you're always welcome. We want to hear what the community has to say, so you can post in our social media feeds or on our YouTube channel and just say, hey, this is what I thought. And half the time we'll bring up that post in a future episode and go, this is what someone said, let's talk about that. And so it kind of sparks more organic discussion, and it's super family friendly, so everyone can listen, adults, young ones, everybody. We're not going to throw out anything inappropriate or say anything inappropriate, so it's totally safe. You're not going to have children querying, dad, what does that word mean? Like,
No, I've subscribed to you guys. I've listened to every episode. And if for some reason you haven't subscribed to Lorcana Cast, I would recommend that you go check it out right now and go subscribe.
well, thank you so very much. We really appreciate it. The community is great. The content creators are a lot of fun to talk to, and we really think this game is going to be something special.
Same.
So now we just kind of wait.
Yep. Yep. Thank you for listening. Just a reminder, if you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave a review, and we will see you real soon.